Hello, welcome everybody to our live session that I assured you we're going to talk about at Apes Biology. And for today, as I said, we are going to go through some of the past questions of Wassce May-June 2017 objective tests. The essence of this revision session is to help us to understand why our answers should be correct and why our answers are wrong. We are also going to explain to us how we can address this question and then get a clear understanding of this content. So you are welcome at Apes Biology. So before we move on, I want you to hit that subscribe button so that we can learn together to see how we can succeed in our certificate examination. Without much waste of time, we are going to take 6 questions for today. And I've carefully taken my time because it's teaching and also answering questions we are doing here. I've taken my time to write out the question. So if you have access to downloading the questions, which of course you can check that in any of the internet pages, any of the websites, you can see some of the hard copies of these questions available. You have them in your school, no problem. You can follow us directly. So, but I've taken my time because I want to teach. We're going to talk about the WAEC May-June 2017 objective, and we're going to take number 1 to number 6. Let's go straight and see. Look at the first question that came up that year. It says, which of the following groups of animals do not possess nervous system? And they give us 4 options there. You have Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, and Nematoda. Well, there is just no way anybody can answer this question without actually understanding classification of living things. There's just no way. So what do? If you want to give a direct answer to this simple question, the direct answer, of course, is Porifera. Now, the point is that to understand why Porifera is the answer, we must know the classification of living things. And this classification of living things we are dealing with, your memory tip I gave you in one of my videos, if you subscribe to Apes Biology, you see that I gave content of classification. And I gave a clue of how to classify kingdom Animalia into 10 phyla. The clue I gave there was PCP Namek. PCP Namek. Where the first P there represents Porifera, all right? This C represents Coelenterata, all right? Coelenterata. This other P represents Platyhelminthes, all right? And then Platyhelminthes, like that, Platyhelminthes. And then this N is for Nematoda, A is for Annelida, M is for Mollusca, A is for Arthropoda, E is for Echinodermata, and then C is for Chordata. Now, look at this question that we are trying to trash here. Now, what are the characteristics of phylum Porifera? Why is it that they are the ones that do not possess a nervous system? Porifera, your best example of Porifera are the sponges. By their nature, sponges have what is called sac-like body design. They are sac-like by nature. The sponges are sac-like. They are the most primitive set of animals, all right? They are primitive. So as primitive animals, they don't have a nervous system. Most of them by nature, they are aquatic. And since they are aquatic, they live in colonies. And as sponges live in colonies, sponges are known to have 2 body layers. The 2 body layers are the ectoderm and the endoderm. And these sponges that you see, as I said, that live in colonies, most of them actually have a type of reproduction that is sexual in nature, where they are hermaphrodites. They have a male organ and a female organ. So basically, because of their tube-like nature, they are like a vase, a flask that has only one opening. They are very primitive. So they do not have what is called a nervous system. That is why Porifera do not fall into that category. But when you come to this group that are called the Cnidarians, why is it that Cnidarians are not the answer? Cnidarians are the same thing as Coelenterata. They fall under that category of Coelenterata. Coelenterata or Cnidarians, they come together under that group of phylum Coelenterata. Cnidarian, what are their features? Most of them are aquatic. They have what is called sac-like body design too, but interestingly, they have tentacles like Hydra. Hydra is a good example of Coelenterata. And Hydra, as a Coelenterata that form under Cnidaria, they have tentacles. These tentacles have things they call nematocysts. Go to my video, you will see what I talk about nematocysts. These Hydra that have those tentacles that have nematocysts are stinging cells that kill their prey. So for these stinging cells to kill their prey, they have the ability of sending electrical signals to their nervous system. So this Cnidaria, they have nervous system. The next time you come with any question that asks you which of these organisms have nervous system, Cnidaria has, Coelenterata have, Hydra has. Other example of Coelenterata, you have sea anemone, jellyfishes. They come under that category. Watch out for questions that may relate to that so that you don't get confused. Now, platyhelminthes, the best examples are the tapeworm. These are tapeworm. They are actually flatworms by nature. Tapeworm, planaria, they come under that group. Even this one they call liver fluke. Liver fluke fall under platyhelminthes. They by nature are also, they have nervous system because they have, instead of having 2 body layers now, they have 3 body layers. Because they have 3 body layers, their 3 body layers are ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Now, these ones I told you, Coelenterata and Plurifera, they have 2 body layers. Any animal that has 2 body layers is said to be diploblastic. The word diploblastic means it has 2 body layers, diploblastic. These are words that examiners are fond of using to just play on our head whenever they are setting objective question. So, Coelenterata, Plurifera, they have diploblastic body layers. But Hydra, their body layers are usually what? Triploblastic, meaning they have 3 body layers, triploblastic. The triploblastic body layer makes them to be very complex. So they too have a nervous system, all right? That is why they are not part of the answer. For nematoda, the nematoda that I represented with letter N here, this one, these are the nematoda. The nematoda, they too have nervous system. Your examples are the roundworms like Ascaris lubricoides. Ascaris, that is parasitic. You also have filaria worm under that category. Filaria worm, they fall under that category. So this Ascaris filaria worm, even things like hookworm, right? Hookworms, they are all nematoda. They are more advanced than this Porifera. So by their nature, they have nervous system. By their nature too, they are bilateral symmetry. When you look at them, this particular nematoda, by their nature, you notice that they are the organisms that are also hermaphrodite. They have male and female organ. So based on what we are dealing with here today, you notice now that based on this, the answer is very clear. You begin to see that which of the following group of animals do not possess a nervous system? Your correct answer is no other than Porifera. Why? Because they are the most primitive. Now, Cnidaria, in case they ask you another question that is related in other questions, don't be confused. Cnidaria simply means Coelenterata. Examples are Hydra, jellyfishes, and even organisms like what? Sea anemone. If you see these things, know that they fall under Cnidaria. Platyhelminthes, they are the flat ones. Example, tapeworm, liver planaria. If they ask you what type of body symmetry, how many body layers, is it triploblastic? You now start understanding the concept. So this is how we now interpret within one question alone. You can ask so many questions. Now let me shock you. Let me unleash for you how questions can come out from this simple question. Let's try it together. Look at it. We know that we have trashed the answer already. This is very easy. But now let's unleash something. Let's say I ask you, which of the following organisms belong to phylum Coelenterata? Of course, you know. The answer is what? Cnidaria. Not so? Which of the following organisms belong to phylum that is called, is an example of an organism that, where does tapeworm belong to? Definitely your answer is what? Platyhelminthes. If I ask you, name the phylum of an organism like hookworm or filaria worm, your answer is what? Nematoda. So when you understand this principle of classifying living things, watch my video on classification. You will see how I unleash all the methods of classifying members of kingdom Animalia. Remember too, that as an additional point, filaria worm by their nature, they are also parasitic worm. You have filaria worm like the one they call Wuchereria bankrupti. Wuchereria bankrupti that is responsible for elephantiasis. You have another filaria worm that is popularly called Onchocerca volvulus. Onchocerca, that is responsible for river blindness known as onchocerciasis. These organisms fall under nematoda. So you can see that just from one question, we have unleashed so many points. Remember to keep this record. It will assist you. Let's now hit the second question, okay? We use our space judiciously. We go forward. And remember, continue to subscribe at Apex Biology for learning biology with simplicity. So, what's our answer to this question again? Which of the following group of animals do not possess nervous system? Our answer is what? Porifera. Let's go to the second one. The second question comes here. And that second question is this. He said, the structural similarities. Pay attention. Wassce May June 2017 objective. Second question. Check it. Is there? The structural similarities in Paramecium and Euglena are in the dash. A, shape of locomotory organ. B, blunt anterior and pointed posterior. C, presence of micro and mega nucleus in both. D, presence of anterior and posterior contractile vacuole. Friends, students, there is just no way you can answer this question if you don't know the diagram of Euglena and Paramecium. Go and watch my video. You will see where I explain how to draw Euglena and Paramecium in very short and simplified way. Now, let's look at how we can unleash the answer to this question. Remember, I told you, if you don't know the drawing of Paramecium, neither do you know the drawing of Euglena and their structure, you cannot answer this question. So what do we do? For a reminder, as a reminder to some of us that may have studied Paramecium, Paramecium is that organism that is unicellular, that is slipper shaped, that I presented one time. It is slipper shaped. It has two nuclei. The plural of nucleus is nuclei. Paramecium that is slipper shaped, the bigger nucleus is called macro or mega nucleus. So don't get confused when they say mega. Mega things mean macro, is big. Then you have this one that is called micro nucleus, the small one. So Paramecium is an organism that has two nuclei. Nucleus is one, nuclei is two. So this organism has two nuclei. One of them macro, the second one is called what? Micro. Macro for the big, micro for the small. Now, this Paramecium, as I said, if you don't understand the structure, there is no way you can answer this question. As I said, we are answering questions and also teaching you so that you know that they can ask you another question, that which of the following organisms does have two nuclei, so that you know that the answer is Paramecium. Very easy. But we are going to provide the answer very soon. Now, this Paramecium, this area is the anterior end, the front. Why this area that is pointed like the point of your slippers is called the posterior. So don't assume that this area that is pointed is the back. This area is pointed is the front. This is actually the posterior end. It has a posterior end that is pointed. It has an anterior end that is blunt. You see that? Anterior end, blunt. You notice this is blunt. It's not pointed. It is blunt. Why this one is pointed? The same Paramecium has two vacuoles. One at the anterior end. It has another contractile vacuole at the posterior end. So anything about this organism is just two. Now, with this, you now see that Paramecium has what is called structures that allow it to move. Movement is locomotion. From locomotion, we get locomotory. Now, that word locomotory, don't get confused. It is just talking about movement. Which structures allow you to move that are similar? So those locomotory structures, you find them on the walls of paramecium. These locomotory structures, they are like hairs. They are slender and there are many. Each one of them is called cilium. The plural is called cilia. They are hair-like. Their beating movement allow this organism to swim freely. So before us, we have a very simple sketch of paramecium. The detailed diagram, subscribe to my channel at Apes Biology. You see what I did there about explaining paramecium. Now, what we are going to do now is that the second organism is euglena. How will you understand? Euglena is that one that looks like this. Okay? It has a structure called flagellum. What it happens that euglena by nature, it has a single nucleus. It is not like this one. This structure that is called flagellum is what the euglena use for movement. And it has one nucleus. Watch my video, you will see how I explain about euglena too. The structure of it. Very simple explanation. Now, but we are going to our question now. The structural similarities in paramecium and euglena are in the A, shape of locomotory organ. B, blunt anterior and pointed posterior, which is only common in paramecium. So this cannot be the answer. Presence of micro and meganucleus in both. In both, no way. This one has only one nucleus. That one has two nuclei, right? So this is the nucleus of Mr. euglena. So this cannot be the answer. Then presence of anterior and posterior contractile vacuum. It is only present in which organism? Paramecium. And if you look at paramecium, this is one of the vacuole, this is one of the vacuole. But for euglena, as I said, if you don't know the structure, euglena has a vacuole close to this area, and that is the contractile vacuole. Only one. What is our answer to this important question? Our answer is this. So this is the answer to that question. Biology made easy. We are here to unleash to you how to understand questions and then provide necessary answers. Now, what you now see here is that from this question alone, we can understand so many points are coming out. Subscribe to my channel and you see how I drew the diagram of euglena. The objective of this concept is to teach you how to give simple answers and understand questions. From here, you know that a lot of things is out. Examiners can start asking you, what is the organelle of movement of euglena? You say flagellum. What's the organelle of movement in paramecium? You say cilia. How many nuclei does paramecium have? You say 2. Name the nuclei, micro and micro. But look at flagellum, euglena. It has only one nucleus. Which structure does it use for movement? It's called flagellum. So this tells you that within this question alone, when you understand it and get it in your head, the answer is out. Now, let's take the next question. As I said, our target is to take 6 questions. Look at that upper question there. It says, still May, June 2007 objective. We are unleashing to you how to understand concepts. It says, which of the following organisms cannot exist freely on its own? They cannot exist. When you understand that question, you begin to see that they are dealing with organisms that depend on others for survival. Any organism that is unicellular that cannot exist on its own but depend on another, that is parasite. So you look at this very well. Which of them is a parasite? Which of them do you think can cause problem for the body of another animal that cannot live on its own? Definitely. The direct answer to this question is no other than which one? Plasmodium. Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax. These are species of parasites that are carried by mosquitoes that cause malaria fever. So this is an organism that cannot exist freely. It depends on another to survive. That other organism that it depends to survive is the host. Take, for example, we humans. When a person is infected with Plasmodium, Plasmodium is the parasite. The vector, the insect that transmitted that parasite or pathogen is called female Anopheles mosquito. Now, in that instance, Plasmodium is the answer because the parasite. Now, there could be other examples of parasites. Like which one? Think of another parasite like let me write it here. Another parasite like Trypanosoma. Trypanosoma, what comes to your mind? Trypanosoma is a parasite that causes sleeping sickness. You can see within one question, another question can come out to understand. Now, here too, you will notice that which of the following organisms cannot exist freely on its own? Chlamydomonas can exist freely on its own. If you watch my video at Apes Biology that I drew the diagram of Chlamydomonas, you will notice that Chlamydomonas is an algae that has two flagella. It has a structure here called chloroplast. Chloroplast enable this organism Chlamydomonas to carry out photosynthesis, so it can exist on its own. In fact, it has a structure here called pyrenoid. Pyrenoid is a structure that allows it to store starch, meaning that it can exist on its own. That is why Chlamydomonas is not the answer. Now, when you look at the second example there, they said amoeba. Amoeba can exist on its own. Why? Because amoeba does not have a definite shape. When you look at amoeba, the diagram, it has a nucleus, and then these projections that are called pseudopodium. Pseudopodium. That pseudopodium is one. Pseudopodia are so many of them. And amoeba can use the pseudopodia to capture its prey and feed and move. So in that instance, pseudopodium is a structure now on amoeba that makes amoeba to survive on its own. So amoeba can exist freely. So that's why amoeba cannot be the answer. Now, paramecium, you don't need to be told. I've already mentioned it before. You can see the organisms are all coming up on the screen, clearly showing that paramecium can exist on its own. Paramecium has a unique structure that is present on its body. And those of you that studied my video carefully, go and check that video. You'll notice that it has a structure here. This structure, we call it oral groove. Oral groove. The paramecium uses this oral groove for feeding on its own. The food enters the oral groove like a mouth and goes into the gullet. Now, within this question, so many things can come up. So if you look at the answer to number 3 there, our answer is simply what? Plasmodium. But what other questions can WAEC bring up connected to Chlamydomonas? They can ask you, what is the organelle of movement? Flagella, because you are dealing with how many? 2. When you are dealing with 2, we call it flagella. When you are dealing with only 1, like in Euglena, we call it what? Flagellum. That is why we are scattering this board for you to see it. Now, when you go further, you notice that the Chlamydomonas as an organism, what structure does it use for photosynthesis? Is the answer not there? Chloroplast. What structure does it use for storage of starch? The answer is there. Pyrenoid. These are things that come up in options. That is why you should study the diagrams. Interestingly, these Chlamydomonas you see that are presented here has only 1 single nucleus. Go further. You will notice now that they can ask additional questions on paramecium. From one question, so many things are coming out. Clearly, from what you can see, it shows that examination is easy to pass. Very easy. You clear your biology. Now, let's move further. I can now wipe this off because we've explained a lot there. Wipe it off. I leave the subscription for you to always subscribe to my channel. As I said, we teach so that you can understand. When you understand, you can interpret. When you interpret the question, you easily flow with the answer. That is why you are here at Apes Biology. We take the next question, number 3. The diagram below is an illustration of an arthropod. That is question number 4. Our target is 6, okay? Study it and answer question 4. Now, to answer to question 4, which is this question, they say we should study this. But it is an arthropod. What are arthropods? If you don't know what arthropods are, you can't answer this question. There's just no way you can attach it. Remember that I gave you a clue, memory tip PCP Namek the other time. Under Kingdom Animalia, PCP Namek, where I told you that this is what? Porifera, remember? This is what? Coelenterata. All right? This is what? Platyhelminthes. Not so? This is what? Nematoda. You can see from Wassce just went and just hit questions from the classification. Here we have Annelida. Watch my video on Annelida. Here we have mollusca, which are the vertebrate members of the vertebrate. That's a discussion for another day. But I have the video on Chordata. Just go through it. You see that. Now we are trying to answer this question. That's why we are unleashing to you what is involved here. They say the diagram below is an illustration of an arthropod. Study it. There is no way. There's just no way you can answer this if you don't know what arthropoda are, what they are made of. Now, what we're going to do now, if we pull out arthropoda like this, arthropoda have 4 classes. The classes of arthropoda are insecta. You have the one they call arachnida. All right? You have the one they call crustacea. You have the one they call myriapoda. All right? It is this myriapoda that are divided into diplopoda and chilopoda. Your diplopoda, your example is the millipede. Why your chilopoda, your example is the what? Centipede. The question is on arthropoda. Arthropoda is leading us to 4 classes. How many classes? 4 classes. They say we should study this. Now, what are your examples of insecta? For simplicity, watch my video on insecta that I gave at Apes Biology. You begin to see that insecta are organisms that have, when you look at an insect, anything that is an insect, think an insect. If you observe insect, you will see them. Insects. But arachnida, when you see them, they look like this. Observe the difference. Observe the difference. How many pairs of legs here? 4 pairs of legs. How many pairs of legs here? 3 pairs of legs. So insects have 3 pairs of legs. Arachnida have 4 pairs of legs. What have they presented here? Watch, how many pairs? This is 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 pair, 4 pairs. 4 pairs. So this, of course, is what? An arachnida. And arachnida, by their characteristics, they are organisms that have 4 pairs of legs. This is likely to be either a tick, or a spider, or a scorpion, or even mite. These are the animals that are called arachnida. They are the ones that have 4 pairs of legs. And you see that their body part is only 2 body parts. 2 body parts. 2 body parts. Their body parts are head and abdomen. But your insect, you have head, thorax, abdomen. Head, thorax, abdomen. Watch my video there. You get at Apes the simple presentations. It is this question we are trying to answer that we are leading to this explanation. Now, they now said, the diagram below is an illustration of an arthropod. Study it and answer question 4. Let's answer the question. Question 4. The arthropod in the diagram is not an insect because it A, has a big head which is almost equal to the thorax. That is not the answer because this one doesn't even have a thorax in the first place. B, it has 8 legs and no wings. Definitely, that is likely to be the answer. You can see the 8 legs. 8 legs have how many pairs of legs? 4 pairs of legs or 8 legs. So put that in your head. Now let's go further so that we'll not be overconfident about the answer. So that I want to be sure. Does not have visible eyes on his head. All right? For your information, these animals that are called drawn here, by their characteristics, they do have visible eyes on their head. Their visible eyes are not like compound eye. Their own visible eyes are called ocelli or simple eyes. Simple eyes. We call them ocelli. Now, that cannot be the answer. It has head, thorax, abdomen. Do we have that here? We don't have head and thorax and abdomen because head, thorax, abdomen are only common in which group? Insect. But this one has only what is called head and then a part called what? Abdomen. Those are the 2 body parts. So what's the answer to this simple direct question? We now know the reason. Our answer is what? It has 8 legs and what? No wings. This is our correct answer. Biology made easy. We are unleashing to you how to understand that within one question, so many things that come out. Let's unleash questions that can come out from this now. Remember, additional points, if you go to my video, subscribe to my channel. Very easy way to learn biology. You begin to see that you can answer so many questions. Let's raise questions from here, different from what we have here. What are the questions? Name an organism name 4 examples of animals that have 8 legs or 4 pairs of legs. What are your answers? Tick. Spiders, scorpions, mites. Which class do they belong in kingdom Animalia? The class is what? Arachnida. If you check, how many body parts do they have? Answer, 2 body parts. What about if you have options? They say, how many body parts do Arachnida have? You now see they say 3 body parts, 4 body parts, 3 body parts, 2 body parts. The answer is how many? 2 body parts. Head and what? Abdomen. So you see, it is easy to understand this concept. That is question number 3 and 4. So we've answered number 1, we've answered number 2, we've answered number 3, and we've answered number 4. Number 5 and 6, I presented it in cards. Go to WAEC 2017 May June objective, and let's see the answer. Let's take number 5. We are here to learn. Question number 5, right? Question 5, we have 6 to go. Question 5 is very easy. It said, which of the following, right? Which of the following cell organelle, which of the following cell organelles is the site for the production of ATP? Look at this question. Which of the following cell organelles is the site for production of ATP? The options given to us are lysosome. A. B. They gave us nucleus. In WAEC, May, June 2017. Then option C, they said mitochondrion. And then option D, they gave the answer as ribosome. Okay? How can we address this question? It is only when you understand the diagram of the cell. If you don't understand the diagram of the cell, you cannot answer this question. Whether plant cell or animal cells. Those structures that are found inside the cell are called organelles. Right? They carry out specific function that make the cell to function as the basic unit of life. Now, interestingly here, we have things that are called organelles. Organelles like lysosome, organelles like nucleus, organelles like mitochondrion, organelles like ribosomes. Now, let's unleash additional organelles so that we don't get confused. There are other organelles that are found in the cell. They call it endoplasmic reticulum. These are organelles in the cell. There are other organelles that are called chloroplasts, which are only found in plant cells. There are other organelles in the cell that are called Golgi bodies, Golgi body, or apparatus. Some call it Golgi body, Golgi complex, Golgi apparatus. It's Golgi body. Don't get confused. Huh? Now, what do they do? The question here says, which of the following cell organelle is the site for production of ATP? What is ATP? ATP is an acronym for adenosine triphosphate, the form in which energy from respiration is generated in every living cell. The energy that you get from aerobic respiration comes out as ATP. The energy I'm using to teach now, coming out from the oxidation of all the glucose in my body, is in form of ATP. And the cells in my body that is generating this ATP, the cell organelle is called mitochondria. So that's why the correct answer is what? Mitochondria. Mitochondrion is the singular. Mitochondria is the plural. Don't get confused. So if the next time they ask you which organelle help the cell to generate energy, which is also called ATP, right? It's actually energy. Or that is for aerobic respiration. You see the question? All is mitochondria. They ask you, aerobic respiration, ATP, generate energy. All is what? Mitochondria. It's an organelle. Now, lysosome destroy germs and poisons. Nucleus control the cell activity. Ribosome, protein synthesis. Endoplasmic reticulum, it transports protein. Chloroplast, for photosynthesis found only in plant cell. Golgi body, they are meant for storage of protein. Do you see that within one question, we are unleashing points to you? It's not about the quantity of questions, it's about understanding it and knowing how one question can lead to so many things. Here now, there is another organelle they call the vacuole that is only present in plant cell. Remember, these are organelles that are found in cells. And as I said, vacuole is for osmoregulation, the one that is controlling excess water and salt in the cell. This one is also for photosynthesis. Take note of that. And you find them only in plant cells. Plant cells are the ones that have vacuole. Plant cells are the ones that have chloroplast. Plant cells here. So these are the organelles in a cell, whether plant cell or animal cell. But since this focus is on organelles, those structures that are inside the cell, that is the answer to this question. And the simple answer is mitochondria. Let's go to the last question for the day. Okay? Last question in this live session we are having is based on question number 6. Sorry, my card fell down. Permit me to pick it. I'm being realistic here. Okay. I'll pick my card. Let's move on to the last question. The last question is question number 6. Okay? Welcome to this live session. Continue. At Apex Biology, you see so many things that will make this subject so simple for you. Now, what's the question 6? Question number 6. It says, an example of osmosis. An example of osmosis in plants. In plants is that is May, June 2017 objective. Through xylem, right? Then B, option B, then I said loss of water vapor. Loss of water vapor from stomata. Very easy. And then C, then option C, we have translocation. Translocation of food. All right? Through phloem. Through phloem. All right? And then we have option D, what is called absorption of water from the soil by the root. Look at this. These are the questions that were asked here about osmosis. Well, if you don't know the meaning of osmosis, there is no way you can answer this question. It's not possible. Because if you watch my video, subscribe to my video, you see how I give simple definition of osmosis, plasmolysis, turgidity, flaccidity, importance of osmosis to plants, importance of osmosis to animals. I explained everything. I even went ahead and told you how to understand cell as osmometer. Watch those videos. Subscribe to Aptapes Biology. Easy learning. Now, what we are going to do, let us unleash the answer to this question that was raised for Wassce May-June 2017 objective. Number 6. An example of osmosis in plants. Osmosis is simply movement of water molecules from weak solution to a strong solution through a semi-permeable membrane. So osmosis have to do with only water molecules. But if you look at this, let's interpret here. Movement of water through xylem. Water, when it is moving through xylem, if you don't understand what xylem is, that's another problem. Xylem is the vessel that only is used for transportation of water and mineral salts in plants. They are found in the root, they are found in the stem, they are found in the leaves. We call them a component of the vascular tissue. So in examination, they ask you what is the function of xylem. It just transport water and mineral salt. Is mineral salt part of this one? No. So xylem only transport water by what is called capillary action, by the process of forces of cohesion and adhesion. That cannot be the answer. So basically, based on this now, our answer cannot be this at all. Loss of water vapor from stomata. Where do we find stomata mostly in plants? Stomata are usually structures that are found under the leaf, and they are meant for the purpose of transpiration. So water loss in form of vapor is not osmosis. Water loss in form of vapor is called transpiration. Transpiration, loss of water in vapor form. I think the question is asking us, how is water lost in form of vapor? Then we can choose which one, transpiration. So this one, again, cannot be the answer because it has nothing to do with transpiration. The next one, translocation. Look at biological word, translocation. Translocation of food. Has osmosis got anything to do with food? The answer is no. So this cannot even be. The word translocation is connected with transportation of food. The food here is the glucose that was manufactured in plant. So in biology, when you hear the word translocation, it is transportation of manufactured food from the leaf to other parts of the plant. So if an objective question come up and say, what is that process that transport manufactured food? Within one question, we are bringing up answers. The answer is, of course, translocation. So it has nothing to do with translocation here. This is not part of the answer. It has nothing to do with transpiration here. This is not part of the answer. It has nothing to do with movement of water in the xylem, which we call capillary action. It has nothing to do. But go and check that my video. That video will talk about importance of osmosis to plants. You begin to see that it has to do with absorption of water from the soil. By what? The roots. Why? Because the roots also have what is called root hairs. Root hairs. These root hairs, they have a layer. That layer is called the piriferous layer. That is a semi-permeable membrane. What have we learned today? Clearly, it is easy to unleash and understand content in biology in this live session. Welcome at Aptapes Biology, your platform where we simplify biology in all content. It's not only for you to succeed in your SSCE, your WAEC, your NECO, your UTME, or even your GCSE. On normal basis about life, we teach you biology. Welcome at Aptapes Biology. Remember to subscribe to my channel and we grow together. You continue to learn with simplicity for life. Thank you for listening to this broadcast. But before we conclude today, let's give answer to our questions. Our first question from our card that we raised today, let me bring up the card. First question number 1 from the card. Which of the following group of animals do not possess a nervous system? Remember our answer from what we did from WAEC May June 2017. They gave us options: Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, Nematoda. Our answer was what? Porifera. Why? Because it's a simple organism. Cnidaria, Platyrrhinitis, Nematoda, they do all have nervous system. Then we gave another question number 2. That question 2 says, the structural similarity in Paramecium and Euglena are in what? We gave the answer as shape of locomotory organ. Why? Because both of them have what is called locomotory organs called flagellum and cilia. Cilia for Paramecium, flagellum for Euglena. Then we also wrote question number 3. You can see that now. Let's go to that. Which of the following organisms cannot exist freely on its own? The answer, of course, is what? Plasmodium. Why? Because it is a parasite. I also give you other examples of parasite. Parasite like trypanosoma. Trypanosoma that causes sleeping sickness, trypanosoma, which is transmitted by the vector, the insect called tsetse fly. Then Plasmodium is another vector that is transmitted by an insect vector called what? Female Anopheles mosquito. Remember too, there is also another parasite that we call Onchocerca volvulus, that fall under this category, right? They are organisms that cannot exist freely. Onchocerca is transmitted by a vector called black fly. The answer to our question number 3 is no other than Plasmodium, right? Then question 4, very important question about the arthropod. We now know that arthropod here is called an arachnida that has 2 body parts. It has 4 pairs of legs. It has simple eyes. The body parts that are 2 are head and abdomen. And of course, our answer was B. It has 8 legs. You can see the 8 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Any organism that has only 3 pairs of legs, that's what? An insect. Organisms that have 8 pairs of legs are called arachnid. Examples are tick, spiders, scorpion, mites. Watch out for that. It does come out in exams. Then question 5. Which of the following cell organelle is the site for production of ATP? Our direct answer is what? Mitochondria. We identified other organelles because this thing can also help you to understand theory questions. They might ask you, name 5 organelles in organism and their function. Mitochondria for energy. Lysosome, destroy germs. Nucleus, control cell activity. Ribosome, produce protein. Golgi body, stores protein. Endoplasmic reticulum, transport protein. Chloroplast for photosynthesis. Vacuole for osmoregulation. Biology made easy. The last question, number 6, an example of osmosis in plant is no other than absorption of water from the soil. Translocation is connected with food. Transpiration is connected with water vapor. Movement of water through xylem, we call it capillary action. Capillary action. Thank you for listening to this platform. You are welcome, and we hope that we have passed the message to you. And this is how, with simplicity, I decided to give back to students. As teachers, we have to go to this extent to pass this knowledge. Thank you for listening, and do enjoy learning. Remember to subscribe to my channel at Apes Biology for us to continue learning. Bye.